Shalom, 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 Israel, Brother Amos with the Watchman for Israel. First and foremost, as we always do, we're going to give all praises, honor, and glory unto the Most High Yahweh, in the name of His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, right? To the men holding it down on the highways and byways, bidding those to the marriage, doing all they can for the hopeful elect. I want to give y'all a strong shalom. To the sisters holding it down in the households, reverencing their husbands, being the teacher of good things to the younger women and to the children. I want to give y'all a strong shalom. And to the men and women forsaking this world and coming back to serve our God, Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. I want to compel y'all to be the church of Berea, to search the scriptures daily and diligently to see if the words that be spoken you are true or not. Right? It's a lot of false prophets and a lot of soothsayers, a lot of people sent forth to deter the hopeful elect from the truth. And it's our job as the watchmen for Israel, as your brothers, to combat that wickedness with righteousness, with thus saith the Lord, with the precepts, with the understanding, with the exhortation, with the, what's the word I'm looking for? The testimonies, right? All the things to help exhort you to push forth to the kingdom of heaven, right? And it's a lot of mighty works going on in the world, right? It's a lot of mighty works going on in the world. You're seeing the Most High put His hand on everything, right? If you're spiritual, you're understanding what's going on, and your eyes are discerning the things that you're seeing, right? You're seeing people fall out the truth. You're seeing a mass majority of people repenting, acknowledging that we're the Israelites. We got to come back to keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. You're seeing a vast majority of Esau turning against Esau, right? You seeing Jake show his true colors by being a house Negro, right? You're seeing all these mighty works. The Most High is judging our enemies, right? The economic collapse, right? This whole world is defiled, right? Everything in this world is defiled, and if your eyes are able to, see and observe, you're realizing that this is a repercussion of the world being defiled, right? Nothing filthy is going to be standing forever, right? Anything that's filthy is going to decay, is going to mold, is going to rust. It's going to eventually break down to the point where it's going to look as though it never stood before, right? This is Isaiah chapter 24, verse number 4. The earth mourneth and fadeth away. The world languisheth and fadeth away. The haughty people of the earth do languish. Right? The earth is starting to decay. Right? They're making houses out of paper, sheets of paper. Right? You seeing earthquakes. Right? Hurricanes hitting more islands. Right? You're seeing pestilence. Right? Every time I turn on the news, it's a new pestilence that you have to worry about, right? It's a new form of disease going around that we've never heard of. Bubonic monkeypox, right? So I just made that up, right? But that's what we're starting to see, right? And the haughty people of the earth they languish, right? The people who were held in high estate, who had their head up high, who acted like nothing could happen to them, like God is only for them and them alone, they're languishing, right? They're falling apart. We're seeing our own enemies fall apart, right? The arms falling off, the legs, the neck starting to twist a certain type of way, right? We're seeing all this come to pass because everything that they do is defiled. Their teachings, their understanding, right? What they stand for, right? All that is starting to be tried in the fire. And since it's being tried in the fire, it's not withstanding. Right? You even got Esau coming out against that alphabet community. Right? Speaking about how they're pushing it on our children, how they're forcing us to accept it, how they're forcing us to look and understand and be a part of it. What people do in the bedrooms has nothing to do with anybody else. And you see, that's what Esau does. they try to join you in their wickedness. Right, verse number 5. The earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof. So the earth is defiled. Everything about this earth is defiled. Right, the temperatures is never right. Right, 1 minute is cold, 1 minute is hot. Right, it's an old Erykah Badu song. Right, for those who may not know, the young children who may not know, or younger adults who Erykah Badu is. Right, she's a singer. And she got a song, it's called On and On. And in the song she says, does it seem colder or hotter in your wintertime, or colder in the wintertime? Hold on. See, cold. Hotter in the fall. Does it seem colder in the summertime and hotter in the fall? Right, everything is defiled. They're manipulating and trying to manipulate weather. Right, they're trying to change history and put history in the way that they see it, and they're just trying to wipe out everything and create a new world order. Right, create a new understanding, create a new language, create a new religion. Right, everything is defiled, and it's done by the hands of the so-called white man. Right, he's the chief destroyer of this earth, the chief destroyer. And that's why back in Genesis, the world was full with violence and evil. Let's get there. Hold on, let me finish that. Because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinances, and broke the everlasting covenant. Therefore, the curse devoured the earth, and they that dwell therein are desolate. Therefore, the inhabitants of the earth are burned, and few men left. So that's what's coming. So the curse of the earth is coming. Right, the curse of the earth is Yahweh Shem Yahushua, and the angels coming to erase all this stuff that's going to be left. Right, coming to put a judgment on this earth for everything that is defiled. And only few men are going to be left. Right, and who are those few men? The elect. The elect men, women, and children. Right, and those who are deemed worthy to be our servants. Right, after we set them in order and force our hand upon them. That's where we're at now. That's where we're getting to. Right? The battle of Armageddon is heating up. Right? The scriptures tell you, he that is weak, let him say, I am strong. So we're going to see these nations build themselves up to be willing and able to fight against stronger nations. Right? And it's going to cause utter chaos. Right? That's the earth being defiled. Right? The earth being defiled is because there's no order, there's no structure, there's no balance, right? There's no balance at all. Now let's go to Genesis chapter 6. Start at verse number 6. Man, these apps are just atrocious, man. Make you pay for stuff, and then so I'm going on a tangent outside of what I'm talking about. But this is Genesis chapter 6 and verse number 11. The earth also was corrupt before Yahweh, and the earth was filled with violence. And God looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all the flesh was corrupted his way upon the earth. So all the flesh is corrupted. Shoot, at times we get corrupted because we're going in our day-to-day lives and we fall short. We don't even realize. Right? They make it so easy and accessible to get pornography. Right? Destroying our youth's mind with just foolishness. Right? Setting up idols for these kids to worship that don't teach them any value. Right? And let's say Esau has their school system and educational system. They are removing the things that the children need. Right? They don't teach cursive. Right? They don't teach the phonics that you need to sound out words. Right? They remove all the institutes that we need to develop as young men and women in this life. Right? Yes, we're in this captivity, but we need certain attributes and certain understanding to be judged. How the hell you going to create a signature if you can't do cursive? Right? So that's what Esau does. And what do they put in their steed? Gay books. Right? Gay understanding. Right? Lie about history. Corrupt our children's minds to celebrate these holidays. Right? It's nothing in school that's good for our children, but we're kind of subject to these powers where we have to put our children in school. But it's our job to teach our children the way that they should go, to understand how they should move as men and women of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. Understand to not accept somebody, because of their stature, and eschew evil. You have to eschew evil. And that's one thing that we weren't taught growing up, is eschewing evil. But now that we're getting older, we're understanding that eschewing evil isn't just always rebuking it. Eschewing evil is hiding yourself from it and warning others around you. And that's our job, is to eschew evil. To teach our people that everything is not silver and gold. Hugs and kisses. Good morning.
I got a favor to ask.
Hold on.
If I put his bike outside, can you put his kickstand back on his bike?
Yeah, I got you tomorrow. I'm not going to be home today.
That's fine.
All right.
I just want to put it in the atmosphere because I'm tired of it just leaning against my wall, making marks on my wall.
I got you.
Thank you.
No problem. Salaki. Yeah, in my neighborhood, we're kind of a family. Everybody talks to everybody, so and that's another thing. Growing up, you had neighbors that looked after neighbors. Right? You had families that looked after families. Right? And that's the problem that we have now. Right? The children aren't being raised by the parents, and the neighbors don't correct the children. That's eschewing evil. Right? I know that my neighbor who I was just speaking to, if my children were to be disobedient, disrespectful, not speak when they see elders, she'd get on them. Same thing with her children. That's how we're supposed to grow up. That's how we're supposed to raise our children. It takes a village. And that's moving in the spirit. And that's letting your light shine. Right? Letting your light shine before men. Right? Everybody in the neighborhood knows that's the family with the fringes. That's the family who don't set up Christmas lights. That's the family that don't be out on the Sabbath cooking on Saturdays, right, with the block parties and things of that nature. Right, you let your light shine. So when they see you, they ask you questions. And that's the important and beauty of being an Israelite. Not being corrupt, not being defiled, not getting drawn to and fro with the wiles of the devil, right? But this is 2 Peter chapter 2. I'm going to jump down to verse number 20. Right? Right? So this is, that's the spirit. 2 Peter chapter 2 and verse number 20. For if, after they have escaped the pollutions of the world through the knowledge of the Lord Yahweh Shah Mashiach, they are again entangled therein and overcome, the latter end is worse with them than the beginning. So for those who do escape the wiles of this earth, who do escape the trials and tribulations that bring forth in this truth or in this life, and you entangle yourself in them again, fall back into adultery, fall back into fornication, fall back into lasciviousness, fall back into lust, fall back into smoking weed, fall back into dealing with these other nations, your latter end is worse than your beginning, right? Meaning you're going to be in a worse state than you were before, right? You're going to be destroyed 10 times worse because your hands weren't kept clean, right? It even tells you that if you have clean hands, you'll wax stronger and stronger. And that's what we tend to forget, right? This is Job chapter 5, verse 17. Behold, happy is the man whom Yahweh correcteth, therefore despise not thou the chastening of the Almighty. For he maketh sore and bindeth up. He woundeth and his hands make whole, right? So we can't be mad that the Most High is correcting us. Any good father is going to correct his children. Any good father is going to teach his children the way that he should move. Any good father is going to teach his children the way that he should avoid. Right, growing up, we were big time hoop players. Right, we wasn't like I don't know, LeBron James and Carmelo Anthony level, but we were pretty decent hoopers. You know, not to toot our own horn, right? Had a lot of recruits and colleges coming to our games. We're playing big time players. We holding our own. We moving throughout the city. People know us. So on and so forth. But the Most High had to correct us, right? And the reason I said that is because it was a basketball player back in the day by the name of Len Bias, right, in the 80s, right, before my time, right? But he was the number one pick to the Boston Celtics, right? Len Bias, right? So during his draft, he got drafted, went back home. He's actually from College Park, right? University of Maryland, not too far from Baltimore. It's about 25 minutes from D.C., about 40 minutes from Baltimore. So Len Bias went and he started snorting cocaine with people that he knew, right? They say it was his first time, you know, that's neither here nor there. And what happened was he had a heart attack and overdosed, right? He OD'd. And that was always instilled in us, right? Stay away from these drugs. Stay away from people who try to force drugs upon you. But that's what it takes for us to grow as a people, to correct, instill, envision, and in any wise rebuke. And that's the chastening of the Lord, being corrected, having men correct you, having men get on you, having men order your steps in the way that you should go. Least you fall upon the rocks, right? And nobody wants to fall upon rocks, right? You hurt your elbow, your knees, your back. You might crack your head, right? So let's continue on this straight and narrow path. Be not corrupted by the ways of this world, and be not defiled by the things that bring forth no value. With that, say shalom.